Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy. Today is February 24th of 2025, and we're celebrating Monday of the 7th week in Ordinary Time. Today's Gospel, which is a little lengthy, comes to us from the Gospel according to Mark, chapter 9, verses 14 through 29. As Jesus came down from the mountain with Peter, James, John, and approached the other disciples, they saw a large crowd around him, and the scribes arguing with him. Immediately on seeing him, the whole crowd was utterly amazed. They ran up to him and greeted him. He asked them, "What are you arguing about with them?" Someone from the crowd answered him, "Teacher, I have brought to you my son possessed by a mute spirit. Whenever it seizes him, it throws him down. He foams at the mouth, grinds his teeth, and becomes rigid. I asked your disciples to drive it out, but they were unable to do so." He said to them in reply, "O faithless generation, how long will I be with you? How long will I endure you? Bring him to me." They brought the boy to him. And when he saw him, the spirit immediately threw the boy into convulsions. As he fell to the ground, he began to roll around and foam at the mouth. Then he questioned his father, "How long has this been happening to him?" He replied, "Since childhood. It has often thrown him into fire and into water to kill him. But if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us." Jesus said to him, "If you can, everything is possible to one who has faith." Then the boy's father cried out, "I do believe, help my unbelief." Jesus, on seeing a crowd rapidly gathering, rebuked the unclean spirit and said to it, "Mute and deaf spirit, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again." Shouting and throwing the boy into convulsions, it came out. He became like a corpse, which caused many to say, "He is dead." But Jesus took him by the hand, raised him, and he stood up. When he entered the house, his disciples asked him in private, "Why could we not drive the spirit out?" He said to them, "This kind can only come out through prayer."
Today's Gospel presents a great deal to meditate on regarding the gift of faith. We can focus specifically on 3 points. First, the need not to be scandalized. Second, the need to ask for the gift of faith. And third, the need for prayer. First, there's no need to be scandalized at the weaknesses and failings of others. Note that what the Father tells Jesus, knowing that Jesus is the miracle worker, this renowned healer who's been going around working miracles, and what does he say? He says, "But if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us." And what does Jesus do? He repeats those first words back to him. If you can. And then he gives the principle that the man should have applied. Everything is possible to the one who has faith. Again, on one hand, we really can understand the Father's reaction. He had probably asked just about everybody with even an ounce of healing ability or some sort of minimal exorcist tendency to try to heal his son. And all of them had failed. And most recently, he had even asked the disciples, who had a reputation for success in earlier cases, and even these guys failed. This is why he approaches Jesus with such uncertainty. But let's take a step back. What bearing do the failings of all those other people have on Jesus' abilities? Absolutely nothing. Those failings in no way affect Jesus' power, just as the failings of others have no bearing on the holiness of Christ. And this is important, especially in this day and age. The number, importance, and gravity of the failings of those around us or in the church at large, it doesn't matter. It has no impact on Christ's holiness. Because Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And so our faith should remain unshaken. Secondly, we can see our need for greater and deeper faith. It's interesting that when the Father can speak normally about his Son, but when it comes to asking for faith, Mark tells us that the Father cried out asking for it. I mean, clearly, he wanted his son to be healed, but we shouldn't think that there's some quota of faith or like a minimum requirement that we need to meet, that we have to have this minimal amount of faith and we'll be okay. The Father's prayer should always be on our lips too, as we cry out, "I do believe, help my unbelief." This is something that we can always grow in. Faith doesn't have a maximum, right? In one of his letters, the great St. John Bosco wrote, If I had had 100 times more faith than I do, I would have done 100 more times more than I did. If I had had 100 times more faith than I do, I would have done 100 times more than I did. If I had had more faith, I would have done even more. And remember, this is coming from a saint, John Bosco, who spiritually directed many other saints, who built beautiful churches, gifted confessor, founded the Salesians, and saved thousands upon thousands of souls. Thirdly, we can see the need for prayer and for our own continual conversion. Note that when Jesus is told of the situation, he doesn't rebuke just the apostles. His response is, "O faithless generation." It's meant for everybody to hear. The real problem isn't one stubborn demon, but the lack of faith. His explanation to his apostles in private, saying this kind can only come out through prayer, well, that's a call to prayer and conversion, to a deeper communion with God. When Jesus sent out his disciples, he gave them power over demons. As with all things, the problem isn't with Jesus or with the divine power, because those are perfect, but with us. We're the instruments that impede God's work. So today we can take some time to examine ourselves regarding faith. Do we let ourselves be scandalized with all the different things that happen in the world? Do we realize our need for deeper faith? Do we pray asking for that grace? So today, through the intercession of Mary, Mother of Faith, let's ask for the grace to constantly turn to Christ and to ask for his grace to become saints.
If you found this video fruitful, please feel free to share it with a friend or family member. Or if you would like to learn more about our missionary priests throughout the world and how to support them, please visit iveamerica.org. Thank you for watching, and God bless.